now. All right, love it, love it, love it. Get that up. Let's trading panel. All right. Now, let's take a look at crude oil, guys, right? We want to look for a setup right now. We want to see if anything is showing itself. So I see a 30-minute demand zone right here. I want to check the other time frames first. Make sure I'm not missing anything on a higher time frame for that zone. But I'm not seeing anything. So it looks like we're going to do the 30-minute. And remember, too, now these zones are broken because we ran through these supply zones, but you see how we broke the supply zone last night? Now it's using as demand, so that's something to keep an eye on. Let's throw this out, that out. Just cleaning up the charts a bit right now. And we have our 30-minute demand zone. Good morning, YouTube. What's going on, guys? We are creating some trade plans right now on crude oil. We're going to be looking at the NASDAQ and ES up next. We're going to be live streaming. We do have Bookmap up as well right here for you guys. We'll go between the NASDAQ, crude oil, and ES as well, so we get an idea of what the market participants and the volume is doing. So back to crude oil. This is the 30-minute chart. So something I want to keep an eye on, and this is something I had a student last night for a one-on-one session. Is he in here right now? He's not in here right now. But I told him, I said, I want to see if we could come up to this supply zone pre-market, make a pre-market high or something like that. That's sort of exactly what we're getting. Actually, I might have said that on the NASDAQ. So let's see though. So we have our buy side liquidity up here. We have a supply zone sitting right there. So I want to see how crude oil wants to react to this zone right now. Because on the higher time frame, it's pretty bullish. However, this zone right here is super important because that marks that new higher high if we can break above it. So I'm going to make this zone purple. Nope, that's the text. Let's go background, make it purple, just so we know, because it's a different color, that that's the zone we're looking for. Now that zone isn't until up here, right? So perhaps we want to push in a little bit and then hit there, because there is also some buy side liquidity right in front of it, right, resting right there. So that's pretty strong. So people who have their stop orders from this day on Friday a few weeks ago, they might have their stop orders at break even at this point. All right, market opens in just a minute. Let's keep an eye on our, let's see, the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ, we had a wick through, but I do think we might want to see a pop and some continuation there when market opens. We're going to keep an eye on that. This is our weighted index down here, so keep an eye on the weighted index to help us see if the buying pressure should be true or if it's going to fail. What up, Milkman Productions? Yes, sir. Yo, you know it. You know it. We go live Monday, Friday. I go live on Bullish Bears on the YouTube for you guys. And every other day, too, we have a moderator in there live streaming for the community. All right, so market opens in 2, 1. So let's see what we get. This is sort of the setup I was looking for on NASDAQ, the supply zone right up here. But it's been very difficult, right? The past few days have been pretty hard because it's been a bit inconsistent. I mean, in one day, because of that news gave us the power and volume, it took out 4 days of buying, took out 1 day. It just took 1 day to wipe all of that out. So what I would like to see, because of how strong that selling pressure was, is I'd like to see us pull back into this candle area over here and reverse and reject. So that's why I'm looking for this 15-minute supply or this 15-minute supply. Now this one is technically stronger than this one because, and I'll show you guys, this one is stronger than this one because this one had a strong drop and some continuation after. So it had a few red down candles while this one only had one drop. It hesitated and then it continued. So we're coming up to that 15-minute now. Again, also, I'm looking to see how we react on crude oil up here. Going to be extra patient today. We know what we want to look for. There's no reason to jump into any trades right out the gate. Patience is key. If you guys want to see anything, let me know. I'm keeping an eye on the YouTube chat. I'm keeping an eye on the Discord chat. If you guys want to see ES a little more, let me know. If any of you are trading gold, definitely let me know and we'll get into it. So let's take a look on crude oil, right? So pretty heavy level at 83.69, 83.70 right now. And that's exactly right above, sort of near those highs over there, right? Where we rejected right there. See that big buy bubble? Ended up trapped in the market because there were sellers sitting there. There is another heavy level over here, 83.81. 83.81 lines up right with this buy side liquidity and the supply zone. So I want to see how we react if we can get up here. So I'm going to add an alert just in case we're not watching crude. That way we get an alert. Yes, somebody asks for ES. We could definitely get ES up here. So let me first, yep, we have alert set already, perfect. I'm gonna move this alert down a little bit. And let's check out the ES for Mr. RTY, not advanced. Let's see guys, so let's see ES. ES had a nice rejection off of this demand zone down here from that news this morning, that 8:30 wick. So that 45 held up pretty nice. We do seem to have some buying pressure. We're breaking out of this previous range right here, right? Look at this range we have right there and right like about there. So this was our range. We're trying to break out of the range. Now, instead of taking a breakout trade, because we don't know if it is going to break out and continue, we're going to stay patient here because we still have a supply zone right here on the ES. So we just wicked the top of that supply zone. So I'm going to be extra patient on this and see if we want to reject and hold lower. Alright, we do have another supply zone right here as well. Let me get rid of this Fibonacci. Let's throw up. This is, so you see that rejection right on that supply zone on ES? That was a quick rejection. A lot of people who were trying to take this breakout ended up stopping out, ended up stuck so far. So we're going to be patient and see what the market wants to do there. Crude oil is also dumping a bit. I want to see if crude oil wants to break this pre-market low right here and reverse. If that's the case, we might grab some liquidity and keep pushing higher. I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Let's see. I don't see any fair value gaps yet. So again, we're still just sort of being patient. Crude oil could potentially be making one on this 5-minute candle if we want to continue to the downside. So let's see if we want to sweep these lows and reverse and go take out those highs, right? Because a lot of ICT style concepts, they look for a sweep of both the high and the low, one being the entry, one being the target. So let's pull up the NASDAQ on here too. We want to know what the NASDAQ's doing. Let's put ES on this chart. I'm not a big fan of how Bookmap looks like on ES. Let's see. So we have the information tool. I'm going to turn that off so it's a bit smoother. There's crude oil with a bit of a nice dump. We have some good selling pressure coming into the NASDAQ. So I'm going to put that up right here. Oh, that is the NASDAQ right here. Perfect. Know what? I don't have my tool. Let's see. I have this indicator to say it's higher layout. Delete the extra one from these. And now I have it on here too. Cool. Love how easy TradingView makes it for us, guys. So we have that selling pressure. We have crude oil is coming to that low I mentioned just before. ES as well as rejecting that 15-minute supply zone that we had, right? So we're being careful at this point. Let's put, so there's crude oil. I want to see how we react at this point on crude. We're going to pull up Bookmap, see if we have any absorption going on. We do have some pretty heavy levels over here that the market did keep pulling. They kept taking it off the book. So I'm going to be careful with crude oil there. Let's see, what do we got? So we're chopping right now. NASDAQ, ES, we're chopping. We're in a supply zone on ES. We're in a almost failed demand zone on NQ. I'd rather go long on NQ here. I'd rather go short on ES here. So what that tells me is we do not have a trade. A lot of times we want to look for both of these things to both be at demand, to both be at support, both be at resistance. If they're sort of going inverse of each other, it's a bit more difficult to trade that. So right now we have the ES right up here. Let me move this, bottom, center, normal, perfect. There we go. So again, we have some rejection. We have crude oil is trying to take that pre-market low. We have 320 left till this 5-minute closes on crude, so I'm not too worried. I'm not going to jump in any long positions here too, because we do have a 30-minute demand zone we could wait for right down here, and that demand zone was formed in this broken supply zone, so that's something I do really want to be aware of for potential long positions on crude oil. So we're going to look for this zone right here, probably keep our stop a couple ticks below. We'll be careful, and then we're going to be targeting the highs on that. Why are we targeting the highs? Because if we look at the higher time frame, the daily has had some pretty good buying pressure just these past couple days though, right? So right before then we had some strong selling pressure, but if we just look back only until June 5th, beginning of June, it's been in a very strong bull trend. We do have to be careful because we have resting supply zones and liquidity right up here at the highs, and we could potentially make a lower high before reversing back down, which again, we could use that in our favor as well. It's just all about being patient right now in the market and waiting for it to give us a good opportunity. YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate you guys for joining in today. Discord, if you guys got any questions too, you guys always... Marzetti, I can't hear you. I knew something was up. Let's see. You know why? Because I'm always changing the settings on Discord for some reason. I think I see why. Let's see. Throw the headset on. Alright, let's see. Marza, do you mind saying something? There he is. There he is. What is up, Marzity? What's up, Dean? See a few new faces in here in Bullish Bears this morning. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the live stream. We have Michigan... we have Michigan Consumer Report coming up at 10 a.m. So we do want to be aware of news. So we'll keep an eye on that. We see crude oil still just pushing its way down, right? So it doesn't seem to be respecting that sell side liquidity. I wanted to see a sweep and a rejection back up. So I'll let this 5-minute close still because it still has a minute, and that's plenty of time for the market to want to push back up quickly. And then I'll potentially look for a long position. If not, I'm still just going to keep an eye on that zone below. And right now, if anything, I would take a short position on the ES with the stop loss at the highs right here because it rejected that supply zone. Maybe target this swing for a quick little 2-to-1. But I'm not a fan of that setup. You guys know I'd rather wait for a more 4-to-1, 5-to-1, a good setup that really pays out, pays out, because those really help us from taking another loss and another loss. Because if we do take a loss and another loss after a big win like that, we're not going to feel it too much on the account. What's up? What's up? If you guys got any questions, Bullish Bears, leave it in the main chat, the live stream chat. Sometimes I do not see. Alright, so here's that crude oil push lower, right? So I'm not taking any longs. That'd be crazy to go long here on crude. I want to see how we react to this demand zone down here. So we'll put that over here, because now look at this. We have a... Oh, this is pretty clean, though, for a short setup. So we have our fair value gap. So we're going to mark that out. FVG, fair value gap. We have a breaker block, which is going to be this one right here. Now, what makes a breaker block? Well, you could either go look at the how to find a breaker block, how to trade a breaker block video that I put up last weekend, or I could go over right now real quick for you. So a breaker block is almost just like a supply or demand zone. So a breaker block will be this red candle here, followed by this impulse move. Now, we need this impulse move to make this a breaker order block. So now this is an order block. A breaker block is when an order block fails. So whenever we have a down move, it will most likely be a bullish order block that fails. So it will be a red candle. So we have our breaker block zone, our fair value gap zone. So this is something I would potentially look out for a short position Probably entry somewhere in this fair value gap. Really got to be careful though, because like it's a pretty wide stop loss on that, and I hate that. So we're gonna wait and see how this market wants to move. I want to see if we could drop lower pretty strong. Let's also see what's going on our NASDAQ ES right now. All right, trying to march its way higher. So this is what I would look for on the crude oil. I'd look to maybe put our Fibonacci from here to the high, because that's the impulse move lower that we're dealing with. Turn off the 0, reverse it. So now I have my optimal trade entry, right? Now that's a way, way better entry than what I was going to try to enter on, right? I was going to try to enter here, and I didn't know where to put my stop loss. Now I have my optimal trade entry at the 61%. Keep my entry there, keep my stop maybe over here, and I would target another low. So it depends on where we would start to pull back at this point. Right now we're starting to pull back at that broken supply zone that we are now holding as demand. So I'm going to be a bit patient there. Let's check out our other indices. We're going to check out the NASDAQ, the ES. We're really chopping our way up higher right now. There's ES breaking higher too of that supply zone. So I would probably look for some long positions here on the NASDAQ. Or ES has a bit more strength to it. Probably targeted at 20,500 on the NASDAQ. 20,513 would be a pretty good target. That's where that supply zone is. But I want to see if we get a strong move into that. Let's keep an eye on crude oil too. But right now we're just chopping around. Getting long here, anticipating the price up here is not how we trade, guys. If I'm anticipating prices to reach here, I need to look for a proper entry. Because if I get long here, we might want to go sweep a low before we reverse. And that low might be where my stop loss is. So I have to either be patient and not enter and wait for an entry, or I could set an alert at that level, and when I get the alert, I could play a trade off of that level. I could wait and see how we react to that level. We don't predict the market, we just react to it. That is what we're here to do, guys. We're here to make money with the money makers. So I want to see crude oil push lower. And if it doesn't and it starts to pull back, that's going to move my optimal trade entry. Because right now, my optimal trade entry, I put it somewhere in this demand zone, anticipating that we're going to reverse from this demand zone. But realistically, I'm not going to know where to put this OTE, this Fibonacci tool, until we start to finally pull back. So we're going to really need to see something like this. Need to push lower, pull back, maybe a little dip or something, and then once we get to like this point right here, then I'll be able to say for more certainty, okay, this is where I'm putting the Fibonacci, this is where I'm putting this, and that will help me find that optimal trade entry. So we got some selling pressure coming in, right guys? Exactly what I was saying to look out for. Don't chase the market, because if you were to try to chase this at that point, what happened? We ended up reversing. We might want to go take out a low like I mentioned before. I was keeping an eye on this 30-minute demand zone on crude oil. Yeah, 30-minute demand zone on crude oil. I might take this demand zone long potentially if we react off of it, because it's a very small zone. And what's great with small zones is we're able to enter and have a tight stop loss. Now, just because we could have a tight stop loss doesn't make the trade right. Oh boy, I love that ticking noise here. That's strong selling pressure from the bookmap tool. But you see, guys, how it's making that strong selling pressure noise, but we're barely moving? Okay, that tells me that we're trying. It should start to pump lower, but because we're failing, a lot of sellers might end up trapped here. So again, we're just really being careful. We're stuck right now, right? We're in the middle of nowhere on the NASDAQ. We're sitting on a demand zone on NASDAQ, which should be bullish, but buyers keep failing to bring it higher. So I really want to see if we could push up from here. Crude oil, I want to see if we could react to that 30-minute demand zone. Looks like there was a 90-minute in there as well. I'm going to mark out with just a price level indicator, a black level, so I know where that 90-minute demand zone is. Maybe get a bit of a more pinpoint entry on crude. So right now we're just waiting on two types of setups. I'm looking for Let's see, what do we got? What do we got? Somebody is long off the NASDAQ right now in our community. What's up, Moonshift? What's up? What's up? Definitely be careful going long, but definitely I would consider a long position before a short, especially because we're at this demand zone. I do want to see price come up to that 20,500 area. Some sweeps coming in. Here comes crude oil. So let's take a look at the crude oil chart real quick. So we have 82.88 is pretty strong. That's within this demand zone. I might turn those large trade orders off because they're just annoying at this point. So let's see if we want to try to hold in there. Let's keep an eye. Just wait. We're waiting on two setups right now. Potential setups that I see. Obviously, NASDAQ, I want to see how we react to the supply zone. And crude oil is coming into a demand zone that I wanted to try some long positions in. There we go, NASDAQ. Nice move there. ES did break that supply, which is bullish, so good moves on the NASDAQ. Now, this blue zone, guys, it worked pretty well as a fair value gap, an inverse fair value gap, and I think they call it, what is it, a BPB? Balanced price range, BPR, something like that. Okay, so here comes crude oil into this demand zone. Let's see if we want to break it or if we want to hold. There's that, let's see. Let's see, I'm going to wait on this. I'm not jumping right into crude. We can't jump right in. It's trying to hold that zone. I do have my limit orders ready to enter on the setup that you guys see right here. So I'm going to put those limit orders out. That's my fill on crude oil long positions. I'm long crude oil. Stop loss is at 82.85. If it goes right to our stop, that's okay, because I'm still going to wait for us to reverse and hit this fair value gap breaker block area. Now what I want, potentially, is for us to reverse at this point in demand, come back up, hit my target of the 61%, and then reverse my position, go from long to a short position, and take that short back to new low of day, if we get that reaction. So that's what we're looking for on crude oil right here. We're looking for this demand zone, 30-minute demand on top of a broken supply, which would be a breaker block, and we're looking for us to pull back a little bit. There's about a 45-point move on crude oil to potentially reverse it and then go back short. So we are currently in crude oil long positions off of demand. I like the reaction we're getting off of it so far. Keeping an eye on ES and NQ as well. Look at NQ trying to make its way to that zone I mentioned earlier, that 20,500, 20,511. That's the supply zones up here. Beautiful, beautiful. Just got to talk it out. Just got to figure out our plans. My watch just buzzed me because I got the Apple Watch that we just hit this zone on NASDAQ. So I'm really just staying patient right now. I'm thinking that a lot of people are trying to short this zone again on NASDAQ with their stop losses at the top right here. So that's why I really wanted to see how we react to the supply zone. Because I want to see if we could stop hunt those people and then reverse. Very good. All right, guys. I like that reaction from crude oil's demand zone right there. One wick so far on the 5-minute hitting it. And we are trying to push back higher. Good stuff so far. Good stuff. Great stuff, really. Looks like ES has the strength to continue. But again, we look at the price action here and we see barcodes, right? It's very choppy. YouTube, you guys are about to get an ad. I'm going to hit skip ad for you guys so you guys don't have to deal with that. Let's see if crude oil would want to give a second entry to this demand zone. Go tap it potentially one more time. We are creating some lower highs on crude oil, so we do have to be a little careful here. Stop loss again is at the bottom, 82.85 of the demand zone. So pullbacks are okay. I like the 5-minute close gives me some confidence in that zone. So really just staying patient here. Look at NASDAQ trying to move its way higher. Love it, love it. I might look for a NASDAQ trade here. Okay, so crude oil is back to that entry at that demand zone. It's trying to bounce again. It's trying to hold it, right? That's exactly what I want to see. See some buying pressure coming. I want to see us push higher. See these levels of liquidity sitting here? I want to see us take those out on Bookmap. Now, I don't think we're going to take out that 69 up here because that's still above the fair value gap. But I want to see us at least take out maybe this 41, which is in the optimal trade entry. Now, we could reverse, right? And we could go hit our stop, and that's okay. We're not going to chase it. We're not going to reverse our trade. It is what it is. That just means this long position failed, and we are patient waiting for another setup. We have NASDAQ coming into the supply zone. ES also has another supply zone above it. So we're going to keep an eye on those. I'll let you guys know if I enter any short positions on the NASDAQ. Putting my stop orders out there on crude oil right now, 82.85. I might want to move it to 82.84 just in case it taps it and reverses. So here we got the NASDAQ wicking that demand zone right now. But you see this buying pressure coming into it? Because we're so strong coming into it, there's really no reason we should just reverse out of nowhere. So because of that, I'm going to be extra patient and wait to see if we could start to stall out somewhere in here or start to reverse somewhere. If we don't, we could just break this and continue higher. As for crude oil, we're wicking a few ticks away from that stop loss. We're still in these longs on crude oil though. Sort of waiting for an NQ setup, waiting for a crude oil pullback. We're just staying patient right now, guys. Patience is a virtue. Patience pays in the market. Look at the buyers trying to step in again on crude oil. Like to see that. NASDAQ pushing higher again. Why we don't just jump into any shorts. Where is our homie in the Discord? Yo, Moonshift, are you still in those long positions, man? Good stuff, good stuff. Took some NASDAQ longs over here, I believe. So here we go. Crude oil trying to hold this demand zone again. NASDAQ finding some resistance up here in supply. But just because we get 30 seconds in a 1-minute candle to show us some resistance doesn't mean we got to jump in any shorts here. Oh, man. Crude oil looking awfully weak right now. Looking awfully weak. 82.80 is a pretty strong zone on the heat map. So again, my stop loss is 82.84. And if it goes and hits my stop, that's okay. Then the trade wasn't meant to hit. I'm still in these longs, though, on crude oil. So let's see. Oh, man, no way. If we get a pop here on crude, that'd be fantastic. It is 9:54 now, though. We do have some news coming out at 10 o'clock. We have the Michigan reports coming out. Sometimes those have a little bit of an impact on the market. NASDAQ getting some weakness up here. ES, though, still looking pretty strong, so I'm not going to jump in any shorts on NASDAQ. I'll see if maybe we want to create some type of divergence or something. Crude oil's just chopping around right now. Still in this long position. It's trying its best, but it does look like it wants to fail. Some strong buying wall. There's a strong buying wall sitting right here. So that does give me some confidence, too, that buyers might want to try to hold it. But again, stop loss right now is at 82.84. 82.84. A tick under the demand zone in case we want to wick off the bottom. So look, we have some more buying than we do selling, but buyers keep failing. So I really want to see us perhaps go above that 83 level, right? But that's still about 10 cents away. These sellers are trying pretty hard right now on crude, on NASDAQ. I'm still holding these longs on crude. We did not stop out yet, even though we look much weaker now on the 5-minute. 15 minutes got 5 minutes to close, so that gives us the opportunity for this 5-minute candle to push back higher, give us some type of basing candle on the 15-minute. So I'm going to be patient. I do see sellers keep trying to step in here. I do see buyers keep trying to hold us. So we really just got to wait and see. Right now, sellers are much stronger on crude oil, so we might hit our stop loss on crude. But I'm still looking for a potential short setup on crude as well up here. So if we break this and then reverse, I'm not going to be upset and be like, oh, I took a losing trade and I should have entered down here. I'm going to chase it back up. No, I'm going to be crazy patient. Got to be patient for our setups. If this setup doesn't work, then I'm going to go to this setup. So there's NASDAQ with some buying pressures, crude oil with some more selling pressure. They started pulling these orders over here on the book map. They started pulling the orders up here too. Oh, nope, we still got that 83.35. Yep, that's exactly what I want. I want to see us come back to this 83.35. That's where the optimal trade entry, breaker block, and fair value gap are sitting. We have 3 minutes left in this 5 minute. It's plenty of time for it to push bullish and give us a 15 minute above. Now I want the 15 minute and 5 minute to close above this demand zone. That will help me to stay in this position, and I might even add to my trade. I'll definitely be moving up my stop. So here's that buying pressure on the NASDAQ again. Again, guys, this is a perfect example of why we don't just jump in really quickly. Some good buying pressure on crude oil as well. So we're staying crazy patient, guys. We're going to let the 5 minute close. We're going to let it do its thing. YouTube, hit that like, subscribe button. Let me know if there's anything you want me to cover. Keep an eye out for a new YouTube video this weekend. I'm going to go over the optimal trade entry. That's what we're using on the Fibonacci, on the crude oil over here to find our potential short entry trade. So we're going to connect this to the low. And we have our optimal trade entry. Here we go, crude. Here we go, guys. That's why we respect our stop. So we've got 220 left in the 5 minute. Still plenty of time for it to reverse back lower now, right? So I'm going to be crazy patient. 15 minute could potentially be making a supply zone up there, but I'm still in these longs. I like this 30 minute demand zone that formed on top of the broken supply zone. And guys, look at the NASDAQ right now. It's about to go break that demand zone, supply zone. So boom, we just broke that. That's why we don't jump in just because we're in supply. That was a perfect example of why we wait for some type of confirmation or something. Look at this buying on crude oil. Beautiful. I love it. Good stuff so far, guys. We're still in these crude oil long positions, looking for a 4-to-1 risk to reward. And then we're probably going to look to reverse the position too. So now NASDAQ, I mentioned earlier this morning for those who were here that this 15 minute was a bit stronger than this 15 minute supply. And the reason for that is because when we look at these supply zones, this supply zone had one sell-off, and then it chopped, and then it continued. This supply zone had a strong move lower and continuation, which is super strong, super healthy to create a zone. So I'm more interested in this zone right now, 20,600, 500 more points, 100 more points from where this zone started. So we have a lot of high volatility. So those of you who are trading the NASDAQ, you might want to trade the MNQ today because of how high that volatility is. Just like yesterday, we had a 600 point move from the news report. 600 points. That's crazy. Loving how crude oil is looking right now. Really like that. 30 seconds in this 5 minute to close. 30 seconds in this 15 minute to close. We have news coming out in 30 seconds too, though. So I'm going to be careful. I got my stop loss in there. Yeah, I like it. I like it. NASDAQ pretty strong to the upside. Oh, I asked Moonshift if he's still in those longs. I don't know if he answered. Nice Ricardo profitable on the day. Love it. Okay, some news report. That Michigan report. I'm still in these crude oil long positions. Stop losses at the lows. I do like these longs. We have an engulfing candle on the 5. 15 minute looks good to continue higher, to even give us a couple 15 minute candles in our favor. So look, you see how they pulled this level? This was a level I was watching earlier, 83.35. They pulled it. It's not there anymore. Now it's 83.38. Coming back into the supply zone. That's okay. Some strong buying pressure right now in ES and NQ. Crude oil sellers are really trying on crude oil. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did want to go hit our stop loss. Or if this was a quick stop hunt before we reversed, but it wicked the bottom of it. Come on now, reverse. Don't do it. Wow, one tick away so far on that crude oil short position. One tick away from our stop loss. Very close. Very close. Does look like sellers will want to continue, but we're going to be really careful here. There we go, crude. Oh, crude. You're just chopping people out, aren't you? All right. We're staying patient here, ladies and gents. We're still in this crude oil, just chopping around right now. If we had another setup to trade, I would definitely be showing you guys that. But right now, we're just sort of chopping around. Not much going on. We are in this crude oil long, looking for a 4-to-1 risk to reward. I hate to say it, guys, but sometimes trading is going to be a little boring when it comes to waiting for it to hit our take profit, right? Crude oil didn't just go right to my take profit. It's sort of been chopping around. It didn't go right to my stop either. There we go. Love that. Love that. Love that formation. I love the wick we just created. Guys, that's why I moved my stop loss a tick away from the demand zone. It hit the bottom of demand, and then it gave us a strong pop. If I kept my stop loss right there, it would have stopped me out and then reversed. Very important. Very important to know what you're trading, how it moves, right? I know crude oil likes to do that. NASDAQ does not really do that. You'll rarely see NASDAQ wick the top of a zone or bottom of a zone and then reverse. Something like crude oil loves to break a supply zone for a second and then reverse, loves to break a demand zone for a second, loves to touch the bottom of it. So we're just staying patient here. It's back into that zone again. Really might go stop us out. And that's okay. That's alright. We're staying patient right now. Sellers keep failing to bring us lower. Buyers are really holding us up at the zone right now. We have ES up here inside a supply zone. NASDAQ is not at any supply zones that I see. Let's see. It's in a 15-minute fair value gap, I suppose, but I'd prefer to trade off of supply and demand when it comes to previous day zones. So we're just going to sort of wait right now, guys. Never a reason to force a trade, never a reason to rush into one. I'm about to call up crude oil and tell them to put their foot on the gas and run this up already. Let me just buy 1 billion shares right now. That should help us. Got a minute left in this 5-minute. The 30-minute was pretty bearish. But I'm looking for a pullback into this zone so I could go short. Some selling pressure coming into the market. We hear that with the ticking right now. YouTube, you guys got any questions? Let me know. Some absorption. This is the absorption indicator on Bookmap, guys. So some buyers got absorbed up here. Very not good. But we're going to keep an eye. Just going to stay patient on this. 15 seconds on crude, 5 minutes to close. That Michigan report did not move us. Barely gave us anything. Nice. Good stuff, man. Nice, very nice. Good, man, good. Good coming back. Good not letting that first trade get to you. Alright, guys, some buying pressure on crude. What are you going to say, Marziti? Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yup. Yup. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. A lot of, you know what it is? A lot of consistent concepts and strategies, they will have a lot of similarities. Supply and demand, when it comes to ICT, is the same thing as finding an order block. And then I used to have a strategy where I would trade a broken supply zone or a broken demand zone just that day, and it turns out, well, that's just a breaker block, right? So, and then you're using auction market theory that's also very similar to supply and demand, because every market, not just the stock market, real estate market, everything moves off of supply and demand in a sense. Well, yeah. Housing market. Yep. Right. Right. 100%. Guys, big move right there. Nice crude oil move right there. We're still in these crude oil longs right now. That would be right there at almost 2 to 1. 2 to 1 right there was just met. I'm staying patient in this. I'm looking for a 4 to 1 on this trade because I also want to look to reverse this position if we could get back into the zone with some weakness. Some buying pressure on ES right there and supply. Some NASDAQ sort of lacking behind right now. Want to see that continuation on crude. Minute 25 left on this 5-minute on crude oil. You guys hear me often call out how much time is left on the candles because I want to be aware. Now, if we had this strong move on crude oil right now on the first minute of the 5-minute candle, well, that tells me there's 4 whole minutes for this thing to reverse right back. So just like we had this red candle right here that ended up tapping the bottom of the demand zone, I knew we had plenty of time to come right back. Now we have a minute left and it's bullish. That tells me we have time to even continue here, right? But it does have time to pull back a bit too. So we're going to be patient. Nice move on crude oil right there. Beautiful. Look at the buying pressure. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Huge. Great first trade of the day. Boom. Beautiful. Boom. Beautifuler. We're looking for a 4 to 1 up here, guys. Keep going, crude. Keep going, crude. Yup. Yup. Come on, crude. One more pop. Yeah. Agreed on that. Alright, so we're hitting the breaker block. We're starting to pull back a little bit. I want to see if we get one more pop on crude oil. Going to look to exit my full position 4 to 1 risk to reward. I sort of want to exit 2 in case we don't reject that zone and we do want to continue higher. Because the buyers have been trying the past couple days, but sellers haven't really let them have it. You know what I'm saying? Because the wicks have still been very long. The candles have been very difficult. So let's see if we want to get one more push on crude oil higher. But right now we're hitting that breaker block. We're hitting that 50% retracement. We're pulling back. But we still have the strong 5-minute candle right there. 5-minute has a 15-minute looks good. I'm just going to stay patient here, guys. I'm looking to get out right at 83.38. 83.38. Now, pullbacks don't scare us up here. Now, this thing could reverse, and go hit my stop loss, and that's okay. It would stink because it would let a green trade go red. However, there's only two ways to get out of a position: either take profit that we already come up with when we enter the trade, or our stop loss. So I want to see some strong buying pressure come into crude oil again. It's very close to pushing the CVD green. We're going to stay patient on this. We're still long on crude oil from this demand zone. We are in a 5-minute fair value gap here as well. But if we look at the 5-minute fair value gap right here, this was a strong move into it. So I don't trust that fair value gap. So let's see if crude wants to give us one more push higher. I'm in 4 crude oil contracts right now, looking to get out of 2 at 83.39. I might get out of all of them. 83.38, I should say. I like that buying pressure. We might run it a little bit. Come on, crude. You know you want to. You know you want to. 83.89. Might exit full position, we'll see. Maybe I'll exit 75% there, because that's the original plan, right? The original plan is to get in there and then reverse the trade. Nice, nice, beautiful. We're hitting that fair value gap. Oh, boom, perfect. Keep going, keep going. I'm going to get out of 1 contract. Let's see. Because we're hitting the fair value gap right now, I'm going to get out of 1 contract right there. So I'm out of 1 contract, and I'm looking to exit the final 3 at this optimal trade entry up there. Now we are having a tough time. We are hitting a fair value gap right now, but that was some pretty strong buying pressure. You know what? I might... A minute left on the 5-minute. I might look to exit my full position at the fair value gap. Oh, maybe not. 50 seconds left on the 5-minute. We're gonna wait for this on crude oil. It might want to give us that push into our final target. $40 seconds left. Sort of stalling out on bookmap up here. Because of that, 30 seconds, that's tough, that's tough. Let's see, we're going to let the 5 close, and we'll see. We're still in 3 contracts. I got out of 1. I want to see one more pop on crude, but we're having trouble right now at this fair value gap. 2 seconds on the 5-minute. Yeah, I'm gonna look to get out at 83.35, my full position. Maybe. What I do, guys, is I'll be clicking it. I'm like moving around the limit order. So if I see a strong impulse move, I can move it away. If I don't, then I can't. But yeah, I'm gonna get out 83.33. Play it safe because we are rejecting that fair value gap at the moment. Go tap it. Oh, it just tapped it again. It didn't fill. I'm not a fan of how we are reacting to this fair value gap up here. So I'm even going to put my sell limit at 83. It could just be a pullback before we continue. Nope, it's building up on heat map. It's building up. 83.32. I'm going to try to get out of my full contracts. That will bring this to a... Oh, maybe not. All right. I'm all out there. Got out a little before a take profit. Just wanted to play it safe because we are coming into what was my next trade setup. So guys, great first trade. 3.4 to 1, 3.5 to 1 risk to reward on that. Really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So we're going to stay patient now. We're going to see. I do still want price to push higher here because I want that optimal trade entry for a short position. That's funny. That is funny. Alright, so what do we got right now? We got NASDAQ still just sort of chopping away, still looking more bullish than bearish. Crude oil chopping away. Does look like it might want to spike into that fair value gap optimal trade entry area. Boom, there it is. So I'm going to be patient. Boom, nice. That would have been nice. So now I want to be patient on crude, right? And I want to see how we react to the zone. Part of me thought I should hold this long position until we react to the zone and then reverse. That way, if it doesn't react to the zone, I'm going to be holding longs through the whole thing. It did not come out to be like that because, I don't know, I just like that optimal trade entry. Yesterday we had an optimal trade entry bullish though. So again, we might really, might mess around and find out on this. I like this five. Ooh. Okay, crude. We're going to let this 5-minute close on crude oil, and that's going to be the deciding factor if we want to go short on crude or go long on crude. Well, probably won't go long up here. If we go short or if we don't have a trade. Some good sweeps coming in, actually. I'm going to create limit order. Risk a little less on this one. You could always add. But I'm going to put my limit orders out there to enter short positions at the optimal trade entry on crude oil. That was my trade setup that I was looking for down here. So let's see if we could ride it up bullish and then take it back down to the bear side. So come on, crude, give me one more little push into that OTE. I like that selling pressure that started to come in too. Very good. Remember how strong the sellers were right here. Now these buyers were pretty strong, but that's just the past 10-15 minutes. Come on, crude, one more push higher. Fill me. 2 ticks away from getting filled right now. One tick away. I'm just going to move it down and get filled there. Stop loss is above the optimal trade entry. It depends on how this candle closes, but I might move it around. Make it the optimal trade entry, make it the fair value gap, but we'll see. Now I'm only in 2 contracts, right? We're going crazy light sides because we just had a great win. But this was our original trade setup that we were looking for. So 15 seconds left. The beeping's throwing me off because that's for ES, and I'm watching the crude oil right now. So look, guys, you see how the NASDAQ just wicked off this 15-minute supply zone, the broken supply zone? That might start to form and work as demand now because we do have a fair value gap in it as well. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. I like that, actually. Okay, potential long setup on the NASDAQ right there. So we're in some crude shorts. We're looking for NASDAQ longs. This is a 3.5 to 1 risk to reward on NASDAQ too. So be 7R if we win that one as well. Crude oil sort of chopping around our entry. Trying to reject that optimal trade entry, right? And that's what we were looking for. Yo, if we could go back-to-back on crude, that'd be awesome. Make a dope video, guys. I'll put that together this weekend if we do. But look at that. Buyers are keep trying, man. Buyers are trying. Got 15-minute candle. Just gonna wait. Just gonna wait. Wait and see. Wait and see. Keeping an eye on NASDAQ down here. Keeping an eye on crude over here. I want to see if NASDAQ reacts to this 5-minute fair value gap. I don't like the buying pressure on crude. I do feel like it might want to go hit that 83.60, which is above the fair value gap, above the optimal trade entry. So there's a good chance I just keep my stop tight on this at 83.52. It might push higher. I feel like crude's going to try. Let's take a look at NASDAQ now that we're going to be trying to come into this fair value gap. I hate it when I move a zone when I'm trying to look at the chart. Nice rejection on crude, guys. That's awesome. Forget the NASDAQ. We're just trading crude today. Yo, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. We're going to stay patient on crude. We're in some shorts. We just took it long for this whole run. Got out right here at the optimal trade entry, then went short on crude oil. So we're just riding crude both ways right now. Yo, I'll take it, man. I ain't stressing. That's good so far. We're going to wait. Some good selling pressure there. But look at the time. We got 2:20 left in the 5-minute. That's plenty of time for it to wick back up. All right, NASDAQ is in that fair value gap. I don't think I'm going to take it, guys. Unless we start to react really strong out of it, I don't think I'm going to take NASDAQ long. Perhaps I sort of want to. I don't know. We're doing good on crude, so why mess with that, right? Like, look at that. Minute 46 on crude on this 5-minute. Strong selling pressure. Look at that selling. Some sweeps coming in, though. I like those sweeps coming in. I'm going to try a long position, very light size on NASDAQ right there with my stop loss at the 15-minute 20,512. So I'm in some NASDAQ longs. I want to go see if we could go hit that supply zone up here. And the reason I got in is because we had strong selling pressure, but we had absorption and it held us. So I want to see if that works out on this fair value gap. In this broken supply zone, so. Nice, NASDAQ, nice. Alright, so we're in a good crude trade right now. We're in a good NASDAQ trade right now. Alright. Alright. We'll be patient. We'll wait it out. We'll see what happens. Crude oil's trying its best to come back. Nice buying pressure on NASDAQ right there. Great entry. Holy cow. Great entry if we do reverse and continue back higher. Let's check the higher time frame, guys. We want to know what's going on. 15-minute. 15-minute looks good. I want this 5 and 15 to close above the fair value gap for us to continue. Wow. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. I sort of want to take this as a scalp and get out right here, but if we continue higher, that would be great. Crude oil, I like that rejection on crude. Wow. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. We're chilling today, guys. Might go 3 for 3 today, really. I sort of want to get out of these NASDAQs, but it just looks good. Look at that buying pressure. But I might want to get out for a scalp because we got in at the bottom of that fair value gap. And who's to say that we're not going to go sweep it one more time? Oh, some sweeps right there. Be careful. That's usually when I like to try to exit. But let's see if we can push through. If we push through, we should be golden. Tell you guys what, give NASDAQ another minute, see if it wants to push higher. Crude oil pushing lower, guys. Crude oil, man. Crude giving us 2 for 2. NASDAQ giving us 1 for 1 today. Ooh, I might take NASDAQ out right there. I don't know, man. It looks good to continue. I'll tell you what, I'm going to exit NASDAQ there. The reason I'm exiting NASDAQ, I'm turning this day trade into a scalp because I caught that bottom on the fair value gap. I'm not a big fan of these longs up here. We're already sort of extended. I do feel like we could continue higher and we could make a nice trade, but I'm happy on those profits. Plus, we're in these crude oil shorts too, guys. We're in crude oil short after we were crude oil long, and this one's winning too. Killing it today, guys. Killing it. There we go, crude. There we go, crude. I guess another reason I got out of NASDAQ too is because NASDAQ has not been treating me well like it usually does, and a lot of the reason for that is because of the whole all-time high situation. Now, we did pull back from those all-time highs because we had the news, we had the CPI, we have all these events. That sort of gave us a crazy move lower yesterday, but I'm waiting for the price action to get more, to suit my style a bit more. So that was a great exit on NASDAQ so far. It did start to pull back since we got out. Part of me is like, close out crude oil anyways for the, just grab that profit and be done. But that was a pretty solid optimal trade entry. Rejection. And if we could continue and break this demand zone down here, we could potentially see like 82.43. So we're going to be crazy patient on crude. That would be a 6-to-1, almost 7-to-1 risk to reward. So let's check out crude oil. So this zone 83.20, that's really strong. I'm keeping an eye on that. 85 lots, 83.20 right there. So I want to see if we could break below that. If we could break below that price right there, 83.20, we'll mark it out. Right there. I want to see if we could break below that. Alright, so far, guys, we're 2 for 2 today. We are 3 for 3. We're currently in an open trade on crude oil. And that one is winning as well. We're in a short position. That was a great long position on crude, guys. Very proud of that one. Proud of this. That NASDAQ scalp was pretty good too. But right now we want to see crude oil push lower. I want to see it break that 83.20. See, I do like NASDAQ, though, because I guess I especially like how that reacted off that fair value gap, because it was in a broken supply zone, right? And when we have that, that's extra confirmation. That broken supply that I like to teach, guys, that's no different from a breaker block, because a supply zone is an order block. A demand zone is an order block. A broken supply zone becomes a breaker block. A broken demand zone becomes a breaker block. And that's super important to know and try to put these strategies together, right? So we have this broken supply zone or breaker block with a fair value gap, and that's what gave me the confirmation to grab these longs once I used Bookmap and saw that selling pressure ended up failing. So right here, guys, this is where I went long. Look at this selling pressure at this point. I got long right over here. It was 83... I'm sorry, it was 20,525. 525, guys, way down here. Why was I able to grab that bottom? Because I had my zone, the breaker block. I had my fair value gap for the entry inside the zone. That's the confirmation. And I was using Bookmap, the order flow, and I noticed we had strong selling pressure, but the pressure kept ticking and price stopped moving, and we started getting this absorption indicator, which tells me buyers are starting to absorb the sellers and we may turn around. Now that information, along with the information of the fair value gap and breaker block, is crucial because that gave me the confidence to take that scalp higher. Yo, great day today, guys. Great day so far. Oh, crude oil, don't do that. Crude oil, get your ass back down there. Great day so far. I'm going to stay patient on crude. Sort of want to move my stop loss on crude, but that usually bites me in the butt, so we're not going to do that. How's the 15-minute look? 15-minute looks like a nice rejection candle. 15-minute looks bullish on NASDAQ, so if we want to come back into that fair value gap and hold again, I'd consider some more longs on NASDAQ. Crude oil, I'd appreciate it if that was a stop hunt and you pushed back lower now. I do think buyers are going to want to take NASDAQ higher. Look at that strong buy bubble as I said that. Crude oil also trying its best to push higher, but it is keep failing, so I'm going to be patient on crude. 83.43 is a pretty strong zone. That's 83.43 is right up here, right? That's in this wick. A lot of times we'll see a wick, and then we'll see a lot of people put their stops there. NASDAQ with some strength. I like NASDAQ on the 5-minute, looks okay. Sellers keep trying to hold crude oil down. I should probably get market pulse on crude oil up here. And lower the heck out of it. Alright, the reason I wanted market pulse on here is for this bottom indicator actually. See if there's any divergence. Okay, alright, crude. Time is it, guys? 10:30. 10:30. We're 2 for 2 on the day. There's some buying pressure on the NASDAQ. Crude oil back trying to push lower again. Exactly what we were looking for. See if we go 3 for 3 today, guys. If we go 3 for 3, I'll probably chop up this video, put it into a smaller format, shorter format, 5-10 minutes. Go over all the trades we took, why we took them. There we go, crude. Here we go, crude. This is a strong level on heat map right there. Book map, heat map. The heat map is this map we see behind book map. Book map is the platform itself. So I want to see some strong move coming in there. Very good. See that we started making the noise, we started selling, then we like hesitated, so we got to be careful because this was a strong zone, a very strong level. Come on, drop. Drop. Nice, guys. Check out the NASDAQ, right? So again, that would have been a fantastic, huge trade if we ended up holding those long positions. We did not. That's okay. Took a nice scalp. Crude oil's really paying us today. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Let's see if we could break this 83.15 right there. We don't really have much supporting us under here, so I do think we might want to continue. Strong selling. That's strong selling pressure right there. So without a strong level under us, that gives me the confidence that we might want to continue with some more strong selling. Guys, give me a half a second. I'll be right back. All right, let's see. Crude oil, beautiful rejection off of that fair value gap in breaker block. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. There goes NASDAQ, gonna go hit that target, that supply zone up there. It's another nice move. Some absorption coming in on crude oil over here, but I still like it to go lower. What I do want to know is where would the fib be if we had it on here? Okay, it would be right in there. Nah, we're fine. I might, let's see, part of me wants to take profit at this this 83.15 level on crude, but let's see if we want to break it. We'll let this 5-minute close. I'm probably going to wrap it up shortly, guys. NASDAQ, man, boom, there's that final take profit. That, oh, almost. That supply zone on NASDAQ, guys. Damn, we had those longs right down here. Ooh, that would have been nice, dude. That's alright, We still caught some of it. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so we're coming and we're hitting this breaker block one more time on the crude oil. I want to see continuation here. If I get continuation, oh my bad. If I get continuation here on crude oil on this 5-minute, I'll probably move my stop loss to this recent pivot up here. NASDAQ rejecting that supply for a moment. ES trying to push higher. ES is not really at any type of resistance right now. We could check a higher time frame. Maybe we're in this 1 hour fair value gap that we could reject, but me personally, I do not like higher time frame fair value gaps like that. We're in a 30-minute. We're almost in a 30-minute. What about 15? A little bit of a 15 inside that 30 as well. And where's crude oil? Would love crude to continue. If crude could continue, we really could be looking at like a 10-1 on this trade. Ooh, they pulled this level up here, 83.44. They pulled that level. Oh, we just put an ad into YouTube. Oops, sorry guys. Been skipping them. I guess I missed that one. Alright, so we got NASDAQ in supply. ES is in a 15-minute and 30-minute fair value gap. But looking at NASDAQ, that's a pretty strong move to the upside, so we're going to wait for this candle to close because it might just push through with some strength. Crude oil, very weak buying, but bringing us higher. Yep, some buying pressure on crude. I don't like that. We're going to stay patient. We're hitting that 61% again. Red on crude right now, that's okay. Stop loss is still at that original stop. So here's a pretty strong level, 83.44, right? So let's see how we react to that level. 20 seconds left in the 5-minute. We saw the absorption down here. That's what sort of gave us that reversal on crude. 12 seconds, 10 seconds. Alright guys, I am going to wrap it up here. I'll be right there. Gotta take care of the fam. As for crude, I sort of want to put my stop loss a little closer. I feel like it might run to it. Yeah, I'm going to move my stop loss on crude oil, guys, just to really minimize the loss. And if it wants to go run and hit that stop and then reverse, so be it. We had two phenomenal trades, the NASDAQ and crude oil today, so we're cool. We're cooling right now. The buyers and sellers are having trouble right there. Alright, YouTube, wrapping it up. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check out our YouTube channel. Go like some of the videos. Appreciate you all. Take care. Have a great weekend.